So it's finally arrived, the OKMO-Retrol Lister D engine from Engine DIY, and it's been a long time coming because it's had one or two little delays from the manufacturer. I mean, you know, when I first got it out of the box, I was like, wow, just look at that, it's absolutely gorgeous. And well, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful green. It's got a lovely thick chunky flywheel as is on the original Lister engines. It's got a little port there for if it was like a radiator hopper cooled design. And if you just look at the detail there, I mean, that little tiny tap there it's a functional tap to drain the water, you know, out of the cooling hopper down there. It's got its little spark plug cap, HT lead, which, well, actually it comes from this ignition box here, which has got the CDI ignition in, but obviously it's been designed to sort of look as though it comes out of the lovely little magneto there, which is quite beautiful as well. Now, as you can see from this design, it's the shaft drive magneto and the sort of half-level tank and the bracket support there, which was basically the first type of the Lister D engines which came out with this sort of style, and from sort of 1926 to about 1931, 1932, something like that. The style then changed slightly, but yeah, essentially it's just a beautiful copy. It's got a working governor. Beautiful little brass pipe, very to scale. Now it doesn't have the float valve, you know, the Amel float valve, but the carburetor itself is exquisite. I mean, just look at that. I mean, isn't that beautiful? It's got the little hole in, little push-up, little air inlet. It's got a little needle valve on the top, and the fuel's directly in. But then it's got this lovely working little governor. Look, as you can see, if I can do it without blocking the view of my fingers. But yeah, working little governor there. Obviously a little spring, as in the original, with an adjustment screw there, so you can adjust the speed of the engine. I mean, its little exhaust is just lovely as well, just like the original Lister. You can remove the top panel because it is the overhead poppet valve design, exactly the same as the real Lister D, and you can make adjustments in there. It doesn't have the grease screw, but I guess you can just oil it up from the top, and of course that'll run down into the sump. And you've got the little panel there, access panel for inspection, and the little oil filler which juts out like you know, perfect little engine. What else is there more to say, really? Beautiful magneto, looks the part. I think that's actually there's actually the ignition. The points are in there. I think there might be points, or it might be a Hall sensor, I'm not sure. But obviously, because you've got the shaft drive, and there's your lovely little governor, spring-loaded governor, and of course a little oiler on the top there. So yeah, I mean, it's quite beautiful. Now, one other part you can buy for the this little Lister D engine is, of course, a Lister D trolley. And again, as you can see, it's beautifully made. I don't know what wood they use, but it's really quite nice. It's really nice sort of hardwood. And well, my intention is to mount the little Lister on the trolley. Might be that way round, actually. And then, because I'll take these runners, the skids that it comes with off. It's on a little board, so I should be able to replace that board just directly on there. And then, because of the box with the ignition gear in, I'm going to see if I can't sort of mount that underneath, you know, under the trolley, so that it's kind of out of the way. And then that'll leave me with a you know, a blank area just there, you know, where the box is. which I could possibly put like a little electrical generator there being driven off the flywheel, or possibly a water pump or something like that. Anyway, so all being well. So anyway, I'll go and do that now. Well, as you can see, I've now mounted the engine on the little trolley. Now I used a piece of the wood that came with the skids as on the top surface. I've used that there, reutilised that. Now underneath I've put the CDI unit under the engine, added the battery pack, and I've also moved the switch so it's sort of slightly out of the way. And also the earthing arrangement, the grounding arrangement, I've sort of modified slightly. The HT lead and the sensor lead for the ignition now come out the side of the engine, and I'm probably going to paint that bit black as well, just to hide it a little, so it looks like it's coming actually from the magneto. The way to start the engine is you've got these two little starting dogs which they've sent. Now the first one had just two little metal struts either side, and that obviously interlocked into the starting dog inside by the flywheel. But unfortunately it didn't take long and those two little studs broke off. So fortunately they had also sent another starting dog, which is very similar actually to the Lister starting handle. And well, it worked for a while, and I was thinking of making a handle out of it, but as you can see, it's kind of almost, the way it's been cut, it's sort of a milling cutter on its own. So unfortunately it kind of grabbed hold of the aluminium inside, and it's made a little bit of a mess of that in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint that black in there so it's it's not obvious that there's damage. And well, I'm going to make a different type of starter. Anyway, the decals are absolutely beautiful. They're sort of very slightly sort of raised, like embossed, and they're very sticky. So you've got to make sure that when you put it on in the right place, because you're not getting these things off. It's a one-shot go. Anyway, coming round to the side of the engine, you can see there you got your exhaust pipe, your air inlet, your fuel pipe from the engine, your governor down the bottom, little mechanical governor there, and it really is a beautiful little engine. I mean, I can't fault it. You've got the water hopper there for the cooling, so you fill that up with water before you start running. It does get quite hot quite quickly, so I would advise doing that from the start. And well, it's just beautiful. Little drain tap there for emptying the engine out when it's when you've finished with it. Although of course you can tip it upside down and the water will come out. Now I'm just going to take these two screws out for the rocker cover, sort of lid, and I just want to show you the poppet valves, because it's actually, the way it's built, it's so close to the way a real Lister D engine is built. Everything is sort of exactly the same. I mean, it really is quite fascinating. And if I turn that there, look, you'll see the little poppet valves going up and down. So they're pushed up with push rods from the bottom, from two cams, and obviously the rockers there push the valves down to, for the compression, the intake, then compression, and of course the exhaust. Absolutely lovely. In fact, while I'm here, I may as well just drop a little bit of oil in. On the mechanical governor, there's also another little oiler, so you can just unscrew that top off, put a couple of drops of oil in before every run, and everything should be good. Bit of a pig to get back on though with my big fat fingers. There we go, that's better. And of course, you know, while you've got your oil bottle out, just go round, oil up any moving parts, as you would do on the full-size list today. You know, just get in the habit of doing it every time you run the engine. Now, as I explained about that starting dog earlier, I thought, well, I really need to come up with a less sort of destructive way of starting this engine. So I found a bit of nylon in the workshop. I took it onto the lathe, and what I've done is I've just turned a very slight taper so that it slips into that boss on the end there, the pulley boss. And as you can see, because it's tapered, it'll grip the inside of that and turn the engine over, you know, by using my power drill. And once the engine kicks, you know, it'll pull straight out because obviously it's not being held tightly. So I'll just get that in my drill now, and well, we'll give it a fire up, shall we? Now with the throttle valve, actually, mine was set where it's closed. It's the arrow points to the very front little spring tensioner, and I found that running it at about just a quarter turn, slightly less than a quarter, is about perfect. The throttle itself, you know, the spring-loaded governor throttle, is about 3 or 4 millimeters down, but you know, it starts really quite easily. As you can see, it's quite beautiful. Now you can see the actual valves, the poppet valves going up and down. And well, you can see actually there's 2 little oiler holes at the top of those as well, so make sure you get the oil into those just to lubricate the rockers. Now you'll see, I mean, if I turn the throttle down, it'll start to speed up, and that obviously means it's you know, it's getting lean enough to be able to be about at the right sort of tick over. And if I rich it up, it slows down a bit, and you'll also get a bit of smoke out of the exhaust. So it's just a case of just fine-tuning it downwards, closing the needle valve until it sounds like it's running well, and it's running at the pace it wants to run at. I have found that the little needle valve tends to adjust itself. It's not quite enough tension on the spring, or if there's even a spring at all. So it does tend to readjust itself back to about that quarter mark. But to be fair, it runs fine there, so I'm not really going to mess with that just now. As you can see, the little governor arm there. Now it actually works both ways, so if you push it down it speeds up, and if you lift it up it also speeds up, so it's obviously opening the throttle in both directions. Now, as I said earlier, don't forget to add some water. I forgot here, simply because I had to pour it out because I wanted to show you the underside. So yeah, do add some water. The last thing you want is the thing overheating and seizing up. It's gorgeous, I love it. Especially running in the Swiss Alps there, as it is. Flew over there especially just to get this shot. Absolutely beautiful. So I'll just pop the top back on. Difficult enough getting the screwdriver in these screws when it's not jumping around on the desk. I'm super pleased with this. Super pleased. As you can see, it runs around like a proper trolley, getting stuck in the grass. And well, it's just fantastic, isn't it? Look at it. Just look how beautiful it is. Okay, so let's focus now on this area where I've put that piece of wood down. What I've done is the original box that the CDI unit and starter came in, I have actually reutilised to go back onto the engine. But I put it on my chop saw and I've cut it down in size just so I can actually mount this little generator on it. And as you can see, it looks pretty beautiful. The red is a beautiful contrast with the green and the silver. And so I'm going to be fitting that there somewhere. I need to kind of, find a belt that I can use for it over the flywheel, and some sort of tensioning system so that I can pinch it up, to tension the belt. But that'll all come later, possibly in another video another time. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the way it's looking. Absolutely gorgeous. Now to turn it off, you can close the throttle down to stop the fuel coming in, or you can use the switch, which is supplied normally on the box, but I've moved it around the back there. Now I might put a tiny LED somewhere that indicates that the battery hasn't been turned off, because it did go flat overnight, so there's obviously some sort of drain within the CDI unit that sort of uses the power up while if it's left on, so do remember to turn it off. There it is, my beautiful miniature Lister D. All thanks to Engine DIY, who sent this along for me to have a play with. Absolutely gorgeous. So this beautiful Lister D engine was sent to me from enginediy.com, and well, I've been working with Engine DIY for 3 or 4 years now, something like that. And they've sent me engines in the past, and I've always done videos for them. And when I saw this, I was just like, oh yes, please send me one of these. I absolutely love the Lister. But they're very good actually. I communicate with one of the people at the company quite regular. They've always been extremely helpful if I have any problems, or if I need to buy some spare parts or buy some extra parts. They're always very good actually, and I'd wholly recommend them. Well, if you do decide that you'd like one of these beautiful engines, these beautiful Lister Ds, then there'll be a link in the description below the video, and follow the link to the enginediy.com website where you can purchase this engine, and of course don't forget to use the discount. So when you have to explain to your good lady wife that you've bought another Lister D engine and that you intend on keeping this one in the living room, just remember what happened the first time you did that. Now, the reason I love Lister Ds, of course, is because, well, I own a couple already. I absolutely love them. Now, this one here, number 13, as I like to call it, this is a 28DH from 1949, and it was a barn find engine, which I bought off a friend, and well, I've done very little work to it, to be honest. I've refitted a few bits, cleaned everything up, tidied everything up, sorted it all out, but it is essentially still in its working clothes. And this is also just the 1 horsepower Lister D, and so it chugs along at a nice sort of steady, well, it's supposed to run at about 500 RPM as opposed to the 700 from the bigger engine. But I run it nice and slow, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love it. Now the other Lister in the background, that's also a DH23, but that one's actually a slightly bit earlier, 1939, so just before the war broke out. And this had been partly restored when I bought it. It was my first engine, and it had been partly restored, partly painted, etc.
but I still did quite a bit of work, cleaned it up, put new decals on it, etc. And then of course I built the generator pack, which you can see behind me in a minute while I'm starting the little Lister engine up. And that one often goes to shows with me, because I have lighting and stuff like that on it. But of course this mini little baby Lister will now also be accompanying the engines to the shows, and hopefully it should generate a lot of interest, because it really is absolutely lovely. Anyway, I'll shut up for a bit and let you enjoy watching the engines run. Well, that was rather unexpected. I shut off number 13 engine, and the little Lister shut itself off at the same time, almost like I'd planned it. And whoops! Now you can see my little setup, the Swiss Alps in the middle of Burton-on-Trent. How beautiful! So there you have it, the beautiful model Lister D engine. Absolutely beautiful. That's about it really, so I'll see you around at the steam fairs and the shows, and thanks for watching.